clear exactly what time it started, but to go from Newport Beach all the way here to Carson, it would take reasonably a good 30 minutes without traffic. So we know it's been at least that long. It's unclear how many minutes he was on surface streets in the Newport Beach area. They, of course, are encrypted, which basically means we can't hear their transmissions on the scanner. So it could have been going on for quite some time before he jumped onto that northbound 405 freeway, where it transitioned to the California Highway Patrol, and then at that point we could hear it. So we've been following it pretty much from the Los Alamitos area, from the 405 and the 605, and then we followed it to the 110, where he jumped onto that 110 South, and he's getting that much closer to that area of the freeway where the 110 comes to an end at Gaffey, which is a major street here through the San Pedro area. Lots of homes, lots of businesses, lots of people out and about on a Friday night. So that, of course, is very concerning. But there's also the chance he may just simply jump off the 110 and hop right back on and go north. He's getting very close to where he's going to have to make that choice.
And Ileana, our Simon desk just informs us that the chase actually began at 11:04. So we are not very long in, and perhaps he has some gas ready to go, that this could go on for a while. What we have seen right now is just the 405 and the 110. Any other freeways involved?
That's all that we've seen while we've been overhead, 405 and now the 110 freeway. And considering that this started in Newport Beach, Robert, most of our pursuits tend to return to an area that the driver is familiar with. A lot of the time, it's the area where the pursuit began. So if he has any intention of getting back to Newport Beach, he is a long ways from home. We're just entering the Wilmington area here. Again, where all of the refineries are here just off of the freeway. We're approaching Anaheim Street. And again, this is where the freeway is going to come to an end, and eventually we'll end up here in the port of Los Angeles. Lots of big rigs there, lots of slow-moving vehicles that he may have to contend with if he keeps going south.
Any indication from the chatter that you're hearing that he is speaking to any agency involved here?
At this point, what we've been hearing on the scanner is simply his description, and the only reason we got that was that one of the CHP units got very close, close enough so that he could see him and was able to share that description with his fellow officers. But we really don't have any other information of the driver beyond that in terms of whether he may be in communication with officers. But one thing that my pilot, James Pollard, just noticed was that one of the CHP cruisers actually ran up ahead, and that may actually be the unit that's going to deploy that spike strip. Again, they were thinking about doing it on the 405 because he had been pretty committed to that 405 North, but then he made that transition onto that 110 South. So any thought of putting that spike on the 405 freeway died once he got on the 110. So they can definitely try it now that he's on the 110 South.
When was the last time you witnessed a spike strip on a freeway, Ileana?
So I have seen it done. It's usually they try to pick an area that they usually have like a curve, let's say, just so that they have a little bit of a blind curve, basically, so that the driver won't see the spike strip. But what we are seeing is that unit of the CHP did run up ahead to try to deploy it. So we'll see if they're successful in their attempts. But it is very dangerous because if that officer is out of his vehicle when the pursuit vehicle comes by, he always runs the risk, he or she always runs the risk of getting run over. And of course, we hope not to see something like that. But he is now on Gaffey. 110 freeway came to an end, and he's now headed southbound Gaffey.
Okay, and where could this road take him? Into a residential area? Could it take another freeway as he really speeds up right now?
Yeah, so from this point going forward, his freeway options are gone. In order for him to get back up to a freeway, he would have to go back north to try to pick up the 110 freeway. He could also try to do the 710, but we're a long ways from that. So this is going to be strictly surface streets going forward. A lot of homes in this area. When he was on Gaffey, there were a lot of businesses there too, but now that we're on a smaller street, this is 8th Street, we're going to see more residential type communities coming up. So perhaps this is an area that is familiar to him. Kind kind of bottomed out there just a little bit. I actually think he might be blacked out too. I hadn't noticed that before, but now that he's tapping on the brakes, I am seeing his brake lights, but when he's not on the brakes, I'm not seeing any lights at all. So he may be blacked out here. It's an older model pickup, blue in color, with, again, a possible DUI driver out of Newport Beach, now all the way in San Pedro.
Is this the moment, Ileana, that the CHP and what other law enforcement is involved says, you know what, got to back off now? We are in a residential neighborhood. Lives are at risk. There are people potentially on the sidewalk. We go now into surveillance mode.
That could very well be it, Robert, but it may come to an end before that. He is pulling over here. I'm not seeing the driver door open, but the night sun there of the police helicopters overhead. I'm going to ask Jim if he could just scoot just a touch so that we can look at that driver door just in case he opens it. Oh, no, but he's going to take off yet again. So interesting move there, just to pull over there for a second. I wonder if he was just checking his directions to try to figure out where to go from here. Maybe he doesn't know this area as well as we might have thought. But to get back to your question, Robert, they could very well just...
Stay with us. Ileana is
staying overhead.
Ileana, with all of what you're looking at right now, where do you see the CHP? How far behind him are they? Yeah,
I'm going to try to widen out without losing him. There you go.
Okay.
So not right on his tail, giving him just a touch of room, but he can clearly see them behind him. There's no question about that. Again, this is a possible DUI driver, a pursuit that started in Newport Beach about 25 minutes ago now, has made its way all the way to San Pedro after jumping on two of our freeways, both the 405 and the 110 freeway, and continues now here through residential streets, but fortunately at slightly slower speeds.
And Ileana, did you see right that there, I'm sure our viewers noticed as well, the CHP patrol unit actually stopped for that red light despite the lights flashing. And perhaps now that is when they are going to be backing off here.
Yeah, that very well could have been the time when they're dropping out. And then also this guy had run the red. So the difference is that officers always have to clear that intersection. They can't risk hitting another vehicle in their attempts to continue to chase this guy. So they're always going to be just a little bit delayed behind him because, of course, they don't want to run a red. They don't want to run a stop sign and potentially cause any harm to anyone. But he is actually coming to a full-on stop here. We're at Beacon and 7th. The CHP right behind him, and he turned on his lights as soon as he got behind him, slowing down a lot. Maybe he's decided to call it a night here.
Had enough.
The red. And CHP officers with their guns drawn.
Didn't look like he ran out of gas. Looks like he just got tired of running.
Yeah, it seems like after this 30-minute chase or so, he's decided to bring things to an end here in San Pedro, just off of 7th and Beacon, right next to a park, and an area where we're really not seeing much in the way of vehicle traffic. As my pilot Jim brings the helicopter around, we'll be able to get a better look here at the driver, who appears to be fully complying at this point. He threw the keys out. That's the first thing he threw out, so there's no chance he can jump back in and take off. But here you go, walking back in the direction of the officers. They're going to give him commands. They're going to handcuff him, and then whenever they feel comfortable, they will approach the vehicle as well, just to make sure that nobody else is inside.
This could have been far worse, far more dangerous, and we had a pursuit that began in Newport Beach that made its way through Seal Beach, Long Beach, and now ending up here in Los Angeles. This is a suspected DUI driver being taken into custody. This is the second pursuit that we have seen in just the last few hours. If you joined us live for the NBC4 News at 6 o'clock, we were overhead with a Kia Soul that